Hi there folks, my name's Novawing24 and we are back here once again for another exciting interview here at Flight Sim Expo 2023 here with the team from Just Flight, Scott and Martin. Great to see you guys again. The last time that we got to see each other at a conference was back in 2018.
Yeah.
That was a very long time ago. So guys, how does it feel to be back at a conference over on this side of the pond?
It was exhausting to start with, but it's it's a relief and it's great, and we're enjoying it. So it's something that we've hankered to do for the last however many years. It's just great to be here, back on the scene, as it were.
Back on
It's hard to believe it's been that long.
Yeah.
But,
It really is sometimes. It's just,
scary.
it's just that void of time that everybody seems to forget.
And so much has changed in that time in the community.
And speaking of so much change, obviously, we've had the bombshell that is Microsoft, come through and all the rest of it. So, how has that been? How have you found the flight simulation community? And has it grown? I mean, I'm going to guess and say it has, but how have you found that?
Yeah, I'd say it's changed quite significantly, really. Start with XPlane, the shift to XPlane, I think that changed things, and then obviously Microsoft Flight Sim coming along.
Yep.
So a lot more younger people now, quite a different crowd.
Definitely a different crowd. And
A lot of newer people coming in.
Yeah, increased numbers of traffic to our website and just more interest. And, to be fairly brutal, more sales, hopefully for everybody, which is what we've needed. And it's,
But that's the thing, is that more sales means that we all get more great content from everybody.
A lot of new developers, a lot of new faces we're meeting here, a lot of people we've worked with for 25 years, other people we've worked with for 6 months.
Yeah.
So it's great to see after we had a fairly stagnant period with the P3D days and things getting very quiet. So yeah, it's great for everyone, I think.
And you've had so many successes and stuff like that, and it's interesting that you mentioned that that the crowd is younger. Is that something that you've been able to observe here in at the event here as well?
Yeah, definitely, I think.
there is, and it's just a good mix. There's a lot of the old faces, and a lot of new younger people as well. So it's good. And even the older set, there's a lot of people come to it as new because of the new version of Flight Simulator that come out.
Yep.
So we've had to do a lot of explaining about who we are and what we do, which is strange for us because we're used to people coming up to us knowing who we are because we're veterans of the industry.
Like I say, the interesting thing is that the new crowds aren't necessarily the young crowd. So although you've got kind of the Xbox gaming crowd that come to it, there's a lot of older people that are just aware of it for the first time because of the power of Microsoft marketing, the fact it's gone to mainstream press more, it's been picked up by the news. So you get a lot of people in the 70s who have never heard of Flight Sim before, all those years, and now they have.
And of course with the great product range that you have, especially replicating so many classic aircraft.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got the Hawk behind us, we've got the Piper here as well on the screen. Do you find that is that where we're going to keep going? Like I know you've got some new products coming out. Is that a big driver in the community to bring those classic, globally loved aircraft?
I think it's what we specialise in. So, there are plenty of people who do a very good job of A320s, 737s, 777s. I don't think we need to worry about getting into that. So our kind of passion, our interests, and I think our skill set is best served with the classic stuff, wear and tear, that kind of thing. And there's no shortage of choices in that area. So
It's a watch this space, isn't it? We kind of, as the year goes on, we make decisions kind of based on varying reasons. So
we announced the A300 here.
Yeah.
And obviously the RJ is probably the newest. The RJ and the Fokker 100 are probably the newest airliners we'll ever go. I think, the Fokker 100 certainly is the kind of the most modern we'll ever probably touch. Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned the RJ because I was very grateful that you guys sent me a copy of the 146 to have a look at.
Yeah.
It's funny because that's one of the only airliners I will ever fly.
Yeah.
I love it because it's that old.
I think a lot of people say that.
It's that old school flying.
Yeah.
It's that weird bridge between the piston, the early jets, all the way through to the modern jets. It's that weird hybrid, and I absolutely love the detail you went into that.
And the F-28 is a similar sort of ball game. It's lots for the pilot to do, lots of character. The F-28, when we were doing the development, we obviously rely on real-world documentation and reading the real-world Fokker manuals. And you can quite clearly see that they're written for someone that's only ever flown turboprops because it was one of the first jets to come to commercial aviation.
Wow, okay.
So you can see that it's kind of trying to nudge real-world pilots into flying a jet for the first time. So it's a very interesting bit of history. Yeah, and a lot of the cockpit layout you'll see is sort of reminiscent, really, of an F-27 turboprop. So it's, again, like the 146, it's very quirky.
I think the 146 was a bit of a case study for us. We knew the quality of the plane, and the team had a love of that plane, and it was. We were still, when we released it, we thought, is it going to capture the imagination? And it's done that and a lot more. So it's good, and it's given us the impetus and confidence to carry on and do. First the RJ and the F28.
Gives us the platform to improve it as well in terms of ads. 3 weeks ago we released our 9th update for it?
Yes. 13 months after release, that was the 9th update.
And a lot of that is new features as well as bug fixes. So the beauty of the community is we can listen to exactly what they want and put it in there. So that's then puts it in a much better position for future airliners.
And how do you find, I know that now, again, you're speaking of updates, because one of the things, you're seeing developers like yourself committing to your products and continuing to bring up updates, much like Microsoft. And because Microsoft, they cop a bit of flack because everybody says, "Oh, you broke everything with the update." I'm curious from a developer standpoint, with the fairly significant updates that Microsoft do, and a lot of our community saying, "Oh, well, you broke it." It's like, well, but what's your thoughts as developers about how Microsoft are continually doing updates?
It's a double-edged sword, obviously. It creates more work for us. But, I mean, the early days, the early updates, the early sim updates could be quite significant, could break quite a lot, could cause a lot of headaches. And, obviously, that was exactly the time that we are still on a quite sharp, steep learning curve. So those two things combined can make, for quite a lot of hard work. But things have calmed down. A lot of the sim updates now aren't really breaking an awful lot for us, at least. Yeah. But ultimately, keeping the sim alive, adding new functionality is by far the better option than a sim that never changes. Might make our life a bit easier in the short term, but things get stale. So
as we saw with the prepared market,
some new features. Even that creates work for us, great. And hopefully you can see we're fairly quick at responding to new functionality, and so definitely our preference is for a live, evolving sim.
Yeah, we've had to adapt, and it does take more time out of the dev teams on a schedule throughout the year. It might mean we release 1 or 2 planes less per year because we're doing updates as well. That's just the way it is.
Like the F28.
Yes.
The F28 has been delayed internally by the fact that I've spent a month working on the 146 update. And although we have quite a large team, so it's not as simple as it gets delayed by a month. But inevitably there's a knock-on from that. Equally, we're never going to abandon our existing aircraft, so that's just the new world, really. That's
I think some of the community understand about the updates and the knock-on effects. Some don't. We're still trying to kind of educate those, and without kind of patronising them. It is just the way it is at the moment. So yes, kind of dates do end up kind of falling a little bit from time to time. But
and it's not just an act of generosity giving updates. It means obviously that it keeps the product in front of people's eyes. So there's commercial imperative to doing updates as well. So,
but I think for the dev team that we've got at Just Flight now, internally, and the guys that Martin uses as subcontractors or who work for us from time to time, the quality level is going up and up. So those guys want to keep kind of like adding to what they've done and kind of seeing opportunities. And it benefits us and it benefits the community, so it's good. It
also makes the projects longer, of course, because as you can see with the F28 and things like that, and the A300 announcement we just did, the level of detail we're getting now is frankly obscene. And there are no sort of, for the first time in my career at least, there's no technical limits to kind of the level of detail you can put in there, at least from a visual point of view. So it's kind of trying to reel in the artist a bit and go, yes, you could do that, but
that blows my mind that we've come. I remember the black and purple screen.
We do too.
With keyboard and mouse, not even a mouse, it's just a keyboard. And to now to a point where we have to train artists.
Well, our lead artist was owned his own games developer company back in the 90s. And he worked on some of the early space shuttle simulator games, and he was working with 16 kilobytes of memory, and now he's doing this sort of stuff, and he has to pinch himself a lot. He just cannot believe, It
does make you wonder where we'll be in 5-10 years' time.
And that's just it. That's right.
We'll be looking at the day-to-day 300 and thinking, look how it used to be compared to what it is now. So who knows?
That comes at a cost of time, unfortunately, so it's balancing that expectation and...
Now, I know you spoke about, release dates are fluid and they affected by things, but, there was a certain product announcement that happened to, go out slightly unplanned. So what do you want to...
Unplanned, planned.
Unplanned disassembly of the announcement.
Yeah.
Tell us more about this new aircraft.
Yeah, so the A300B4. So we started work on it probably about 6 years ago now.
Wow, so...
With a view to P3D, obviously.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah, so I flew down to Toulouse for the day and photographed a real aircraft inside and out, which is always the starting point of any of our projects. And then obviously got a 2-year period of building that model. And we were close to release for P3D, and then Microsoft Flight Sim suddenly comes out of nowhere. And the market very quickly moves with it. So then we're left with we then deliberately went back to do the PA-28s and the Hawk T1 and the 146 to use as a learning tool for Microsoft Flight Sim. So then by the time we come back to the A300, it's already looking dated and it's not looking as good as we want it to. So basically what we've done is gone back to the drawing board really, as we showed in our video, and very, very significant upgrades, almost from scratch in some areas, to bring it up to the detail level we want. And as you can see in the video, it's crazy detail. But so yeah, we're looking at kind of probably a 14-month project to bring up to where we need to.
Now, I know one of the great things about Just Flight is that you're very much a cross-platform supporter. You're not only make for Microsoft Flight Sim, only make for XPlane. You do support all the platforms, Prepared, XPlane, MSpace. The $64 million question for many of our airliner family who still love using Prepared, especially with Lockheed's announcement yesterday of Prepared V6 coming with us sometime in the next 45 days. Is there a possibility, is there an intent to be bringing the A300 to Prepared and potentially XPlane in the future, or are we...
I think we'll see ourselves now really as a Microsoft Flight Sim and XPlane developer, with the caveat of XPlane being dependent on what the market does. So, again, obviously because we have to make a profit, we would love to support XPlane 12, and we've already released 6 of our aircraft, XPlane 11 aircraft for 12, and we're continuing to work through the updates for those. But ultimately, we can't develop for a platform where there aren't sales to meet it. So we will have to see how the updates for existing aircraft perform, really, before we can commit to XPlane 12 versions. P3D, I unfortunately can't see a future for us developing for that, just because there isn't a market there for us.
Not as things stand.
So,
not as things stand, it's,
No, if there's some shift back to V6 or there was some movement in that direction, then maybe. But obviously the benefit we have with the XPlane stuff is we partner with Randa. So we can focus on the Microsoft Flight Sim content, and they do most of the XPlane work for us. We don't have someone like that do P3D. So we rely on us splitting our time, which, as you can imagine, with 6 or 7 airlines on the go.
Is a challenge.
So basically, ultimately, the summary is we'll go where the customers go. As we always
So I guess that's in a way that's still good news though, because it means you're not ruling it out.
We'd love to support multiple platforms. Yeah, we don't put eggs in one basket. It's never a great idea, but
but it is a case of that, and this is where we as a community, coming to events like this and being able to talk to developers is a really good idea, because we can actually discuss and say, this is where we as a community are going. So that's great to hear.
We don't want to shy away from them big questions. We know people want to ask about that. We know there's an interest. But at the same time, I think we've got a duty to be as truthful as we can. And it does come down to a commercial reality at the end of the day. And it'd be great to just stand there and go, we're going to do P3. Now V6 is out. It was announced. It'd be great to say, we could definitely do that. You would not believe the work and the kind of planning that would need back home, and the headaches. And
extends to aircraft choices. There are so many aircraft that I personally would love to develop that just don't have a commercial demand.
I mean, I'm going to put my 2 cents in and say, I really want to see the de Havilland Comet back. The de Havilland Comet 4C. I will very happily that was my favourite airliner. The 146 was the close number 2. So, I would love to
so many of those we would love to do.
Noted.
But again, it comes down to, unfortunately, commercial reality. But we'll always try and keep for it, interesting aircraft types. So we don't, as you can see with what we pick, we don't necessarily go for the obvious, clear best-selling type aircraft. We're happy to take a bit of a cut in the sales to go for stuff that also we have a passion for. Because if you're going to spend 2 years developing something, you've got to have a love for it, really. Otherwise, it gets very tight.
Well, look, thanks very much. That's some great positive news, some great hearing about some future, and folks folks. And again, as I said before, folks, this is where us being involved with the community and speaking with devs, whether it be through forums, whether it be through the community discords, or especially at events like this, it's really important, and this is what makes our community so special. So I want to say, Scott, thank you very much for joining me, and Martin, thanks very much for joining us again. Folks, thanks for joining us here at Flight Sim Expo, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video.